I post these grocery hauls that I do every month. We've been posting them for many years, so I have tons of pictures and videos on my phone. And I love when I'm scrolling back, I can tell exactly what month I bought the produce items in because I only get things that are in season. So in Washington, peaches are perfectly in season and so are blackberries. Some of the items that we have are just staples we always have, and we are always rotating them through our meals and snacks, but then also focusing on this beautiful, fresh, seasonal produce. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross, and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. Our grocery budget is $135 per person, and there's only 2 people that live here in our house, so our grocery budget is $270 per month. Now, you might see all of the produce I'm going to show you and think this is a lot of produce for 2 people, but I'm able to keep all of these items fresh for the month, and we have 0 food waste here in our house. So at first we'll go through all of the produce items and show you what we bought and some tips to keep them fresh longer. Then we go through the dairy and proteins and pantry items, and at the very end I will talk about how much I spent and how much I have left over in my grocery shopping account. So I ended up getting some white and yellow peaches for something that I'm working on, that we want to make sure that we have plenty of summer produce pictures for. I did get a little bit extra to make sure I had enough for photo props, but these will not go to waste. If we end up not eating them in time, then I will slice them up and put them in the freezer, and we can use them all year long. And I did make sure that the sign said that they were free stone peaches. That means that the pit inside of it comes out really easily. Peaches are either free stone, where the pit comes out really easily, or they're cling stone, where they like to cling on. And let me tell you, they never advertise if they're cling stone. So if it doesn't say that they're free stone on the advertisement or the sign above them, you're probably going to be getting cling stone ones. I did get 1 little pint of blackberries. These looked so good. We did eat a couple on the long ride home. Where we used to live, we used to be able to pick blackberries all of the time, and here in this new area, we don't have blackberries. So I was really excited to have these. And if you are out picking blackberries out in the wild, I would make sure not to do it near a road where you're getting lots of car emissions on your blackberries. And I got some blueberries. I'm missing my blueberry bushes that we had in our old house. I had planted 3 over the years. That was an early spring, mid-spring, and a late summer blueberries. So we had them all year long. But I got some blueberries because I want to make some blueberry lemon muffins. And those blueberry bushes that we just had them in the landscape of our front yard. So they just look like hedges, and they were actually blueberry bushes. Mike wanted some little oranges, so we made sure to grab some of these. And we grab lemons every single time. In the wintertime, he drinks a lemon tea every day, but normally in the summertime, I'm adding it to dishes or making things like those lemon blueberry muffins. And we didn't get much other fruit items because we got a 27-pound watermelon for $4. And people that are watching this that know that I'm dealing with a shoulder injury, for some reason, holding things and using my biceps are totally fine. It's just whenever I raise my arm or reach behind my back that it hurts so bad. I got a bunch of these pickling cucumbers that I'm going to make crunchy refrigerator pickles that actually last for a few months in the refrigerator. This is one of my favorite recipes, and it is so easy to make. And I'll also link the recipe in the description. We drive about an hour away to go to a big produce stand, and then that's where the large grocery store and Costco is. So this isn't a quick trip to go to the store. This is something that we plan and takes most of the afternoon. But right now we are in peak pepper season, and so I made sure to grab a bunch of these green peppers because they were only 50 cents a piece. And then I still got my normal amount of getting the bell peppers that were colored. These I actually prefer over the green ones because they're a little bit sweeter, but these were a little bit more expensive, but I still got 6. So I'll probably only keep the colorful ones and 1 or 2 of the green ones, and the rest of the green ones I'm going to chop up and put into the freezer so we can use them all year long. We also got some other peppers that were locally grown and only sold at our farm stand, and those are Anaheim peppers and then some jalapenos. I did make sure to get jalapenos that were grown locally locally from this farm stand, and I know that they were grown with a nearby field. This is one of those items that are just coming out as a news item that might have a recall on it, so I know that it's safe from my local area. We just filmed another video that's going to go up on the channel right before this video, talking about some of those outbreaks that are happening in the news right now and how you can best protect your family. So if you're concerned about the produce items that you're bringing into your house and this is the first video you're watching, make sure to go back to the channel and check out the other video. And this is another item I made sure when I was picking out the avocados. Normally I'm looking mostly for organic avocados because they stay fresh longer, but this time I was definitely making sure that I was finding ones that were grown in California and not imported into the United States. We got some corn on the cob, and I have a little funny story about this. Since we travel so far to go to the farm stand and you don't know exactly what's going to be there every time, Mike had to go down that way for work last week, and I had him go down and take some pictures so I could start planning ahead when I wanted to go for grocery shopping. And since he was there taking pictures, he felt like he needed to buy something, so he picked up 2 corn on the cob. And then when we went back, we ended up getting the extra 4, but I wanted to make sure that I added this $1 to our grocery budget. For the lettuce, I was also double checking where it was from. So these happened to be wrapped in the plastic wrap that had the farm's name on it. And I always grab lettuce from Storino Farms because that's the farm from where we are from, and it just makes me feel a little homesick. I picked up some of this larger spinach. I normally call it farmer's market spinach instead of the baby spinach. And this is also because of the outbreak, I wanted to be able to clean this a little bit easier than an entire bag of spinach. I'm also going to store this just like I do cilantro and parsley, which is going to be in some filtered water in a glass. I just tucked the cilantro into the jar when we got home from grocery shopping. It was over 100 degrees outside, and I haven't even trimmed off the ends or washed it yet. I was just trying to keep it a little bit alive while we're filming today. But also I was making sure these tags on here, I could see where they were grown and I knew that they weren't on the recall list. I picked up some purple cabbage. We still have some shrimp left from earlier grocery hauls, and I want to make sure that we can use that up with some shrimp tacos before we get into the cold winter months. I got some more cherry tomatoes, and we have plenty of fresh basil out in the garden that we can make little 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐿 skewers. And a couple months ago, I picked up some mozzarella balls from Costco, and those can get stored in a jar and stay fresh for a year. I also picked up some fresh green beans. This is one item that I wash a little bit different, that I only wash it for 1 minute instead of the 2 in the vinegar soak. I tried to get one that is close to the same size all the way through. This was the best I could do for today. But as I'm washing and then using this, I will use the smaller end first. I ended up getting 2 heads of celery. I need to start making some beef stock to get it into the freezer, so I was buying a little bit extra for that. And I always get this 6-pound bag of carrots. We go through this entire bag every single month, and normally I'm eating this at dinner time or before dinner with a high protein dip. This time it was hummus that I made. I did get 5 fresh onions, even though I just got a huge bag of onions a couple months ago. I have chopped most of those up now and they're in the freezer. So if I do have to have shoulder surgery this fall or winter, I have those already prepped and ready to go in the freezer. Since we moved into this house in September, I do have a small garden outside, and we planted 3 zucchini plants, and I have at least 10 zucchini over here on the counter. I've already chopped up a bunch of them and put them in with the onions into the freezer, and I swear there's 20 more outside. We're not quite to the point yet where we're handing them out to everybody that walks by our house, but we are getting close. I did pick up 2 of the delicante squash. I can finally say that. It's only taken me years, but these will actually stay fresh for many months. I will make sure that I wash these so no mold spores will grow on them. But I want to start incorporating these into meals as we're starting to think about fall meals at the end of summer. And I also picked up a spaghetti squash. I also picked up a package bunch of dates. I really like these when I'm craving something sweet with some peanut butter in it. It is like a perfect little candy bar kind of treat. So this was kind of a little splurge that I don't get very often, but I had enough money in my grocery budget to do it. So this is all the produce that we bought. We are going to put all of this behind me and we'll start pulling out the rest of the grocery haul. So this is our dairy case items, which we will start with eggs. I know that they're not dairy, but they're in the dairy case. This time I only got 2 dozen eggs because we still have almost 2 dozen left in the refrigerator from last time. So normally we get 4 dozen a time. This time we just got a little bit behind. Greek yogurt and cottage cheese is something that I used to buy every other month. But in the last year or so, I have developed so many recipes that we are incorporating these 2 items to add extra protein to our meals that we're able to go through these 2 containers in 1 month. And if you're looking for new ways to use up Greek yogurt, we just posted a video on this. We get the A2 organic milk every other time we go grocery shopping, so this was a time that we were picking this up, which meant that I wasn't getting any butter this time. And we have been using this half and half a little more often, so it just became one of our monthly purchases. This Kerrygold cheese is one of our favorites. I love that it's a natural cheddar, and I use it in replace of a lot of other cheeses, and we just buy the one. It is pretty strong or has a sharp flavor, so we use less of it too. Mike had sent me some recipes that he wanted to try out, and they had pepper jack cheese in it. We haven't bought this in many years, so I got a smaller block when we were at Winco. Then when we did go to Costco, we saw that Tillamook did have pepper jack cheese there, so if we do decide on getting it again, I would get the Tillamook brand. For the chicken breasts, I do like to get these that are in the packages. That way I can pull out 1 or 2 packages if I'm batch cooking something, but they don't get freezer burned. So normally there are 2 chicken breasts in each one of these packages. And when I was making the choice of which one I wanted to grab, this time I decided to grab the air chilled ones. I was talking about making some marinara sauce for in the fall as we are getting things ready, and Mike suggested that we needed to get some Italian sausage to go with this. We had used up all the Italian sausage with that lemon tortellini dish that we made a couple times. It is so good, and I still have 1 package of the tortellinis left in the freezer that we can still make it 1 more time this summer. And since Mike was with me, he wanted to get some brats, and so that's what we ended up getting. I will make sure that I put these in another container, either in Ziploc bags or a glass container, because if they're just packaged like this in the freezer, they are going to get frostbitten really easy. So I will normally lay these out on a tray and flash freeze them for a couple hours before putting them into a bag, and that way I can just pull out however many I need, and then the other ones can stay in the freezer for longer. And we do have some buns in the freezer that we need to use up, so it was a good purchase. For meat, that is all that we purchased. We do have half a beef order in our freezer. We've been eating on this for about 1.5 years at this point now, and we will end up getting another half beef maybe in the next year or longer from this point right now. I don't buy crunchy taco shells very often. We have decided that we just don't go through a box of those quick enough and they get stale. But sometimes you just want that crunch, and we make nachos instead. So I make them load it with veggies and meat and beans, and then we call it a complete meal. But if you store them in a glass jar, they will stay fresh for a couple months. So every couple months, I will buy a $6 bag of chips. So in my grocery planner, I keep a list of things that I need to possibly buy in the next couple months. So the last time I went to open up a bottle of oil is when that went on the grocery shopping list. Then I know I have 3 to 6 months to make sure that I find one on sale and to buy it. So that is one of the reasons why I love using my meal planners, that I keep track of things that I need to get and how often I buy them. So if I do see something on sale, I can also decide if I only want to get 1 or if I will use 2 over the course of the year. This olive oil was on sale, and it's in a glass bottle, so it ended up coming home with me. In my grocery planner is where I keep track of all of my spending for the year. So I literally list out, there are 2 people in our family. Our grocery budget is $135 per person. So our grocery budget is $270 per month. that goes into its own debit account that we only use for groceries. Our grocery budget only goes for groceries to make sure that we have food security in our house and that we can feed our family and we don't have to worry about meals. When there are other purchases like this ibuprofen that I bought because I was in so much pain that day and we still had to travel home and I didn't have any in my purse, this was actually made on a separate purchase that was from our household budget. And I'm so glad that we did end up making this purchase and I was able to take the ibuprofen before our trip home, so I had a little bit of time to work. Now, I didn't do anything at the grocery store, moving the cart or picking up anything. Mike did it all for me. I am dealing with this torn rotator cuff that makes things really difficult. So we have our grocery budget that is in one debit account that has the grocery money that gets put in every single month based on how many people are actually living here, which is 2 right now. So it's $135 times 2, which ends up being $270 for groceries. Then we have another household account that we do other bills out of. That household money is something that we sit down every couple months and we decide how much money is going to go into things like gifts or things that we need at the house. The grocery budget has remained the same for many, many years. It used to be $100 per person way back when we were doing Dave Ramsey earlier in our marriage. And then around 2015, we had bumped it up to $135 per person as we were trying to buy more organic things and really focusing on the ingredients and the quality of things instead of just what was the cheapest item. And during those years, we have varied in household size. So we have our own kids who are now grown and out of the house. We've also been foster parents to many, and our grandma was living with us. So we could be anywhere from a household size of 2 to a household size of 8. But it always maxed out at $1,000 because that was the most we could possibly afford. I will say with the grocery prices being as high as they are now, I haven't had to increase our grocery budget at all. I am paying way more attention when I'm at the store, and I'm spreading out items so we're not eating things like bacon as often. We just spread out the package so it lasts much longer. But I will say I like the ingredients that I like, and I like the brands that I like, and I know how they affect my body, and that's what's most important, especially having a chronic illness. We do get a half beef order every 2 to 2.5 years normally. So the last beef purchase was December of 2024, and we got it in the spring of 2025. And now we are in August of 2026 and we still have about a year's left of beef in the freezer. Now that beef was purchased with that same grocery budget. With the carryover, I just make sure that I put some aside, and that's what I use to make the beef purchases. We're honestly debating right now. We haven't put the money down for the next beef order right now at this point, and I'm debating whether or not to get the large packages of meat from Costco for a little while. We are a year away from when we need to do this, but I think it would make some really great videos to show you how to break down those large packages and how they can stretch out. We possibly might decide to go that route for the next meat purchase. We will see. We still have a year to decide. So for the produce that we bought, stopping at the 2 produce stands, we spent $20 at one stand and $22 at the next stand. And then we went to 𝐂𝐿 and we spent $32.28 there. Again, that was mostly produce and that 1 block of cheese. At Costco, we spent $139.90. So that makes the grand total that I spent for the month of August $214.18. So that means in my August grocery budget, I still have $55.82 left. Now that money gets added to the carryover amount that's already in the account for 2026. We do have a carryover amount that was in there from 2025 that we try to forget about, again, as we're planning ahead for large meat purchases. But it's just these like $50, $30 sometimes, and it really adds up. So far in 2026, our carryover amount is $175.63. So here are our groceries for the month. And if you are following the channel, you will know that I've posted every single one of my grocery hauls for the last 5 years. So you can really see how the ingredients come into our house and how we're using them. And then we have a Meals and Moments series that comes out every 2 weeks that will show you exactly what meals I'm making with these items. And the best part about all of this is none of this is going to get thrown away. We are going to actually use these ingredients that we are buying. If you're new here, welcome. Know that I answer every single comment I see that comes in to YouTube. I am on there a couple times a day trying to answer your questions. So if you're struggling with your grocery budget, just know that there's hope.